Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toad Stool Sports, Friday, December 26th. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas, aside from the Thunder being incorrect again. I don't know what to tell you about that, man. I haven't looked really at the box score yet. I wasn't watching the game. I don't know what to tell you, man. They just don't match up well against the Spurs. I guess that is what it is. I thought it was the right play, the zigzag. There was line value on it. The market seemed to agree as far as reading like where the professional money was and whatever. I don't know what else to say about it. I am happy that in that clusterfuck of an NFL slate yesterday, I was correct on the Chiefs, which I had in my money entry in my like super contest type of thing. So I'm still in the money there. I started off the week with a win on the Chiefs covering there, so that was good. I mean, I should have made it a play. I mean, I was just worried about the quarterback, young quarterback making his debut, but obviously it was the right side. It was a wire-to-wire cover. I mean, there's no way the Chiefs should have been a 2-touchdown dog in that game. The other games were just ridiculous, especially the Detroit-Minnesota game. Dude, like, I think that the game is rigged. Like, I don't know how else to even look at this. Like, how could Jared Goff have, like, the worst game of his career in a situation like that? Dan Campbell finally, like, doesn't have a bounce back anymore, doesn't win again. Ridiculous. This is a situation where Minnesota had -3 net passing yards in the game, and they won by multiple scores. Max Brosmer, he's not going to make it in the NFL. He is the first quarterback to ever win a game with fewer than 70 passing yards, I believe, and 7 or more sacks against him in the game, and still wins the game. It's absolutely insane. But the one positive, I guess, is that my fantasy opponent in my third place game had Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs, and they didn't do anything. So that's keeping me alive because my team isn't doing well either. Josh Johnson, he moved the ball, man, yesterday against that Dallas defense. Just all the touchdowns they got were on the ground. Dallas had given up the most passing touchdowns in the NFL. I thought Johnson would get at least 1, maybe 2 in that game, and it didn't happen, but he wasn't terrible. Washington did cover the numbers that were out there, except they didn't cover in my pick'em game on ESPN because ESPN had 6.5, and then you have to, I hate when that happens because then you're on the wrong side of the key number, but your thoughts on the game are that you want that side, but you're not getting the best number. I absolutely hate having to pick a game like that. Ridiculous. But Johnson should have done better for me. I'm kind of pissed about that, but I'm alive in the third place game because my opponent's players did so bad. QB rating or QBR. I don't put that much weight into either really, but QBR, I mean, you can use as like somewhat of a gauge. I don't know. QB rating should be higher than that. If it's QBR, that would be really high. I thought Johnson was fine in the game, though. Like, he moved the football all right. It was fine. Washington was in that game for most of the game, to some extent at least. Like, they maybe had some chances to get themselves in position there. I don't know. Rating, yeah, so not QBRs. Yeah, that's a low rating, but he had no touchdowns. But he didn't really make any huge mistakes. Jeffrey, what's up? Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Chiefs, yeah, I should have made that a play. Easy cover. There was absolutely no point where Denver had any chance of covering that number. The number was just clearly way too high. It was pretty obviously going to be a low-scoring slugfest of a game, bad offenses. All right, let's get into today. I'm going to have 2 NBA plays, and I'm going to give out 1 play in the bowls as well, and hopefully we can continue with the bowls because I'm just being ridiculously selective with these. NBA, I'm going against the market all over the place today. I don't know what is going on with this market here. First game up is Miami at Atlanta, and we're going to get a lot of spots here. We've had teams with multiple days off, so you want to come in and you want to, look for teams that went into the extra break kind of on a bad note so that maybe they can fix some things, but also you got to be aware that they were celebrating Christmas during that time, so maybe they weren't fully practicing or whatever either. Who knows? I don't know what goes on, but Miami has lost 3 games in a row, and they've lost a lot of games recently. 8 of their last 9 games have been losses. Took a pretty ugly loss to Toronto in their last game at home. So I think they're going to show up for this game against Atlanta, using a couple of days off to maybe bust that losing momentum up. Atlanta, kind of in a similar boat, though. They haven't been playing well either. They've lost 4 games in a row, including losing the back-to-back games to Chicago. They're staying at home with the extra time off, but maybe staying at home is a little bit worse around the holidays because maybe it's a little bit of an extra distraction. Does Atlanta look ahead to the Knicks, who they have to play tomorrow? I mean, there is always the possibility of that, I guess, that maybe, as ridiculous as it sounds, maybe they do overlook Miami with the Heat being on their schedule tomorrow. I'm going to, I'll slightly lean to Miami in this game just because I think getting away from home might be a good thing in a spot like this, but I don't love the game at all. The market does seem to agree with that one. Hawks down from 4-3, 93% of the tickets, 73% of the cash on them, so they seem like a very public side. Slightly into Miami there, but not touching that. That game is awful. Lean Miami, yes, same. Adebayo, questionable. The Knicks miss, yeah. Well, I was correct about Cleveland covering that number. There's no way that Cleveland should have lost that game. Cleveland was winning that game by 17 in the second half. I have no idea how they lost that game. I'm also not a fan of either of those teams, but I was correct about the side against the spread, though. Charlotte at Orlando, fuck it. It's already best bets time. I don't care. I'm just going in chronological order. I'm going against the market with this one. We're taking the Charlotte Hornets +6. I know we could have gotten 7, or actually 7.5. I don't know if it was ever 8. I know we're on the wrong side of this key number. We're going completely against the market read here. I do not care. I think the Magic might have been, 8 might have been the opener when they thought that maybe one of their injured players was coming back, and that's not going to be the case. So we're looking at a thin roster for the Magic, but that's not the only reason why I like this. Charlotte, they did just beat Washington before the couple of days off, but I don't really see this as a momentum-stopping break for them here. I think they're going to get up for a game against the Magic. That would be my opinion, and they don't play again until Monday. So this is all they really have to focus on right now. I think it's fine for them to just leave home, focus on a game like this. Really, the crucial aspects of this all have to do with Orlando being in a really bad spot here, which is, of course, the return home spot. They were on the road starting on... Well, actually, they were on the road prior to this, too, because they were in Las Vegas for the NBA Cup semifinals, and they lost to the Knicks. Probably they did come back home after that, though. Then they went out on the road again, and they went to Denver, Utah, had to play in elevation, overtime, went to the Pacific Coast, played Golden State and Portland, and now they're returning home from that. And I talk about this, the return home spot. You haven't been home for a while. stuff piles up to have to do at home, especially when they got home. You know that they got home and they had to celebrate the holidays. You know, they had to celebrate Christmas. So I think that's another added distraction here. You get back to family life. You're doing all the holiday things, whatever. You're not really focusing on basketball. And then they do have to play Denver tomorrow, which is not only a bigger opponent, but they just lost to Denver on that road trip. So I think that is a significant look-ahead spot as well. Orlando did finish the road trip with a win over Portland. I don't really care about that, but I just don't understand what the market sees in this game. Like, this read to me, it's all just bad spot for Orlando. Orlando is still without Suggs and without Wagner. I know those things are factored into the line, but you're looking at a very thin Orlando roster right now. We're taking the Charlotte Hornets plus the points. That's what there is to it. I see them being a public dog here, which does worry me. 76% of the tickets, only 56% of the cash on the Hornets. But do you really think the public is coming in and playing the Charlotte Hornets? There's no way. A team that's 10-20, Magic 17-13, I don't see that happening. And yes, I know we are bucking the Charlotte being 3-12 on the road, Orlando 10-4 at home, but we don't need Charlotte to win. They need to cover. I still don't see what the market is doing in this game. I don't think the public would actually be on the Charlotte Hornets here. When are they ever going to be? Unless it's against like the Brooklyn Nets or the Washington Wizards. I don't see it. We're taking the Hornets. That's all there is to it. All right. Yeah, Cleveland had a cold stretch. What white player? What are we talking about? Charles, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Charlotte has 100 more threes. Yeah, Orlando, that's not part of their game. They don't take threes. But that means there's going to be a lot more variance on the Charlotte side, which if they're hitting threes, they're probably going to be able to do this. And if they're not, then they're going to get killed. So there is a lot of variance there. But this is all about the spot. But yeah, Orlando, that's not part of their game. They don't attempt very many three-pointers, which in a way, it makes Orlando easier to handicap in a way because you know there's going to be less variance with what Orlando does because they just focus on two-pointers. They focus on the more predictable aspects of the game. But then again, they're down two of their best players right now. So, and yes, that's being factored into the line, obviously. Kolek out of Marquette. He's on the Knicks. Yeah, I think I knew that. I don't know. He probably just hasn't had that much playing time. Toronto at Washington. I disagree with the market read in this one as well. Toronto just beat Miami before having a couple of days off for Christmas. I'm guessing that I would guess they probably came back home. It's Toronto. I don't know. Do they celebrate Christmas in Canada? Probably. Did they come back home and now are they going all the way back to Washington? Because I think that would make this spot even worse. But either way, I don't like the spot for them. And they do play Golden State in a couple of days. And then Orlando, Denver. Those are all bigger games than facing Washington. So you know where I'm going with this. It's kind of a weird spot, kind of a sandwich spot here. Our friends, the Wizards, who have been bad and good for us at various times, lost the last two games, including that one to Charlotte, going into the time off. They're back home. They were only on the road for that game against Charlotte, though, after being home before that. Yeah, I mean, the holiday stuff is going to be a little bit of a distraction for them, maybe. But I think if you play this game, you have to take the points with the Wizards here. The money, again, seems like it's completely disagreeing. Wizards, 67% of the tickets. Again, I don't get this. Like, you really think the public side in this game is the Wizards? There's no fucking way. 70% of the cash on the Raptors. Raptors did drop from a 9.5-point favorite to an 8-point favorite. I think maybe because of injury issues with the Raptors. Mostly it's just been Barrett, though, and he just hasn't been back for a while, but I think maybe they thought he might come back. He's supposed to be back like in the next game now, but who knows? He's like probably the third best player on Toronto. But whatever. I would take the points with the Wizards if I was going to play that game. And I'm not going to recommend it. The NBA acted like Canada doesn't celebrate Christmas. I like that. Screw Canada, man. Canada, they're a bunch of heathens. Garrett, you did well on props. Hell yeah. Nice Christmas gift there. That's good. Yeah, man. Give out some of your prop info, man, because I'm not really. I don't do the props except I focus on them on the Super Bowl, and that's about it. And last year had a really good Super Bowl with it, but there are props in the Super Bowl that I just do every year that are not really player specific props. They're just more you get a better number because they're like public mindfuck props mostly that I like to do. I do a couple of player props as well though in football, but just in like the biggest games. But then again, you're going up against more fine-tuned numbers in the Super Bowl and the conference championships and whatever. Merry Christmas to you as well. Hope your Christmas was good, everybody. Wizards, yes, I agree. A good day for them on the market. Yes, you beat the market. Canada, their hands are covered with maple syrup and I don't know jizz probably. All right, my Boston Celtics are at Indiana. There could be maybe some zigzag aspects to this where the Celtics did beat Indiana at home, but the Celtics pretty much won by an expected margin there, so it wasn't really an outlier, except the main thing that was weird about that game with the Celtics against Indiana at home was that Indiana had a giant lead in the game. Indiana was winning that game by 20-something points probably. Celtics packed it in and benched their starters, and their backups got them back in the game, and then they put the starters back in, and they won the game. So it was a brutal way for Indiana to lose that game. But now the Celtics have been off since Monday, which might hurt their momentum a little bit. But they are starting a road trip, and they only play Portland and Utah and Sacramento and the Clippers in the remaining games on the road trip. So it's not like really a look ahead for them. So I kind of think maybe they will show up again to start this road trip. And the Celtics might actually be the team that has adjustments to make because Indiana was running them off the court when the starters are out there. And Indiana, they're not really going to be able to adjust to the Celtics beating them with their bench, really. I mean, maybe once the Celtics do have their bench coming into this game, but that's like, it's such a weird situation where it's like Indiana almost doesn't really have anything that they could really adjust to necessarily coming out of that game. For Indiana, they also played a game in between the two games, which was against Milwaukee, and they took a bad loss again. I told you not to play Indiana in that game. Like, I said it was Milwaukee or pass in that game. Indiana was in a Boston Celtic corned beef sandwich there, and Milwaukee embarrassed them. Then Indiana, since then, I mean, they stayed at home. They can kind of disrupt that loss streak potentially. They will show up for a game against Boston, so I think it might be a spot where both teams show up. The Celtics are an 8-point favorite, up to 8.5 actually now. Public is all on the Celtics side. That does make sense to me. 92% of the tickets are on the Celtics, only 79% of the cash. Market is saying to take the points of the Pacers. I mean, I would have a very, very slight agreement with that, but I don't love it by any means at all. I think both teams have reason to maybe show up for that one. So I'm staying away from that one completely. Very, very weak opinion on the Pacers in that one. Right, yeah. Celtics and Pacers don't turn it over much. Celtics, very, very good at holding on to the ball. Yeah, one of the best in the league, the Celtics, which is a little bit different from years past where they've had some discipline issues. What are we talking about? Knipple. You're going over on Knipple? The nipple over? Yeah, they'll adjust the line eventually, but yeah. Well, thanks for the info there. So Knipple, who's he's on Charlotte, right? So he's in that game that I gave out a side on there. You do PRA and RA, yeah. And PR, yeah, correct, yeah. So points plus rebounds plus assists, rebounds plus assists, points plus rebounds, right? Because, yeah, I think that's a good idea because the market for just like straight up points, I think probably gets more public play than like PRA and stuff like that. So yeah, and PRA, you have like more ways to win it, right? Like if it's a well-rounded player, he can get you over that number by doing any of those things. Although that's kind of, I mean, it's factored into the line, but yeah, I mean, there are definitely professionals that agree with you on that and that hit that market that way. That is some good info. Thank you, Garrett. Yes. Okay. All right, we got Philadelphia at Chicago. Philadelphia had a really ugly loss to Brooklyn going into the extra break here, starting a road trip. Kind of think they're going to show up for this game. I mean, coming off that ugly loss, you kind of got to be focused on your next game. Going on the road might help. They do have Oklahoma City on Sunday. Is that a potential look at? I guess maybe, but I don't know. I don't really see Philadelphia after that loss. I don't really see them overlooking any team that they're playing right now. For Chicago, they went into that break on 4 wins in a row, sweeping the home and home against Cleveland and then beating Atlanta twice, both on the road. So I think the spot is actually worse for the Bulls here. I'm not going to say they're definitely going to overlook Philadelphia, but I think that holiday break could kind of stop Chicago's momentum a little bit. So if I was going to play this game at all, I think I would have to play the Sixers. And the money, again, seems to not agree, even though the Sixers initially flipped from a 1.5-point favorite, 1.5-point dog to a pick'em, 90% of the tickets, only 66% of the cash on the Sixers, though. I do agree that the Sixers could be a public side here, but I just don't see it, man. Again, I disagree with the market on that one. I think it would be Sixers if you're going to play the side on that one or pass the game on that one. The Bulls had a huge comeback against them on November 4th. I just don't really pay much attention to games that happened like almost 2 months ago. I just don't think there's really that much to look at. One thing that you can do is see was there like an outlier or anything? Like were certain guys like not in the game at that point? Because there could be like maybe a matchup thing where, this team matches up well against them, or this team didn't have these players available in that game, so maybe that's why they lost that game. But other than that, I don't think revenge is like a motive at all. Like when it comes to, these teams played 2 months ago, I don't think that really matters very much. I think the playoff revenge is a motivator because you remember that team ended your season. Something like that is bigger, and but you still don't want to overrate that either. And then the other thing is when the teams play again right away, it's not really revenge. It's more the zigzag spot where sometimes you get line value fading, whatever was the outlier in the prior game, and the team that was on the wrong side of that outlier, they're the team that has the adjustments to make. So that's really what it is. It's not really revenge. Lean Sixers, yes, I agree. Leftovers, yeah, there are leftovers. We have our Christmas food. It primarily consists of turkey pies that are like individual sized turkey pot pies that my brother-in-law and my sister make. My brother-in-law is mostly responsible for them. He makes maybe the best pie crust in existence. I don't know how he makes it, but it's insane. And yeah, there are always some of those pies left over. So we get some additional pies there. That's pretty much it. It's a way to use some of the turkey that still exists from Thanksgiving, and then we add some new like fresh turkey to it as well, in addition to the leftover turkey. Your leftovers are in the oven right now. What are they? What do you got, Jeffrey? Oh yeah, you had that bad egg salad. Jeffrey got an egg salad sandwich from 7-Eleven. I don't think egg salad is good at all to begin with, but I would not trust a 7-Eleven egg salad at all. If it was like some homemade egg salad with some good eggs that were just cooked or whatever, maybe I could deal with that. Egg salad, I don't know, just rubs me the wrong way. I think it's kind of gross. It smells horrible. And I like eggs, too. And I like almost every variety of egg. Basically, egg salad is the only variety of egg that I'm not really that on board with. Like, I eat deviled eggs. Hard-boiled eggs are fine, whatever. Yeah, any kind except for egg salad, pretty much. There's some fentanyl going in there. What? Oh, pizza and fried shrimp. Hell yeah. We had pizza on Christmas Eve. That has become a tradition. There is definitely leftover pizza for Christmas Eve as well. We didn't make it, though. It's from like a local pizza place that happened to be open. Not the South Shore, Massachusetts bar pizza, though. The bar pizza that we usually do. Those places, we switched locations here, and those places weren't, the places in the area weren't open. So we had to we had to call an audible and get just a typical like House of Pizza style pizza instead. Still pretty good though. Your mom made sausage balls. Hell yeah, you're eating your mom's balls. Those do sound awesome. I mean, me as an Italian and a Swede, my entire life has basically been meatballs of one kind or another. So yeah, you know I'm down with meatballs. I am a meatball. Milwaukee at Memphis. Milwaukee, they went into the break beating Indiana. I don't know that they're really going to care that much. I mean, that did break a losing streak for them. Maybe having the extra time off will hurt their momentum again, but I don't know. I kind of think they'll show up for a game against Memphis. Milwaukee, I mean, yeah, they're without Giannis. They haven't played well without Giannis. Memphis, they got injury issues of their own. I think Morant is injured again. Edey is out still as well. Memphis in kind of a similar-ish spot where they broke a loss streak as well before going into the holiday break, beating Utah. Not something they're going to be in a letdown spot after or anything like that. They're back home here after they were on the road just for Oklahoma City and Utah, so not a long road trip. Don't really see this as like a road trip return spot, but maybe a little bit of a distraction being at home. This game I just don't really have much of an opinion on at all. Can't really figure it out. I can tell you it looks like the Bucks are a public dog in this one, which again doesn't totally make sense to me. 92% of the tickets, only 87% of the cash. The Grizzlies up from 5 to 5.5. I'm not really going to disagree with the Grizzlies here, though I just don't have a strong opinion on this one at all. The market read is saying the Grizzlies are an anti-public favorite, so I guess that's how I'll look at the game. Morant is upgraded to questionable. All right, yeah, so something to keep an eye on there. If he comes back, I think you might want to fade Memphis. I'd be more keen on fading Memphis if he does come back, because then the line might move further up. And, I talk about Morant being a chemistry killer. Plus, it would be like the reverse injured player spot again, where your star player comes back. He's got to adjust again. The team has to adjust again. The line's going to probably over-adjust him being back, that type of thing. Phoenix is at New Orleans. Phoenix beat the Lakers in a major beatdown. The Lakers have not looked good recently. Phoenix crushed them by whatever that is. 24 points, is that what that is? Going into the break, huge win for Phoenix. Could be a letdown spot here for sure. I mean, that break might hurt their momentum a little bit. They play New Orleans, but they do play New Orleans again tomorrow, so it's not really a sandwich or a look ahead, but I think it is pretty much a letdown spot for Phoenix here. For New Orleans, they got embarrassed by Cleveland in their last game, so we have a game here where teams are on the opposite sides of like these major outliers. The one thing I worry about with New Orleans is that loss to Cleveland broke a win streak of theirs. They'd won 5 games in a row prior to that, and sometimes when a team loses a win streak, it kind of hurts their momentum and gives them a hangover into the next game. So I worry about that a little bit, but it was a blowout loss to Cleveland, losing 141 to 118. They should bounce back from that, although, yes, they are back at home around the holidays, which could be a little bit of a distraction as well. I lean Pelicans in this one, and again, the market read is disagreeing with me on this. Pelicans have 84% of the tickets, but there's no way, dude. There's no way that the public is playing the Pelicans here. So again, I don't get it. 60% of the cash on the Suns. They're up from 2.5 to 5 here. So there must have been some injury, I think, for the Suns or something where now whoever it was is playing. I mean, I don't see anybody influencing the line to that degree except for maybe Booker, though. So I don't know. I looked at the injury report, and there wasn't really much to see in this game. There isn't really any injury on the Pelicans side that would swing that line like that. So I don't know. If I was going to play it, I would take the points with New Orleans, though. No idea. No, I just don't think that number is accurate at all. The public does not think like the way that professional bettors think. Like, no, the public is absolutely, the public is going to be on Phoenix. There is no way that the public is going to play New Orleans for any reason. They just don't think that way. New Orleans is not going to be a public side. There's just nothing else to say about it. The only reason I could see maybe that would be the case is because they'd won 4 or 5 games in a row. But even with that, I don't think they would be. The public looks at the records. They don't want New Orleans. I mean, they're going to fade New Orleans against most teams, especially they just saw Phoenix crush the Lakers. There's no way. There's just no way. New Orleans might look ahead to the Knicks. I don't know about that. I mean, the Suns, I think, are a bigger deal. New Orleans is in the Western Conference, aren't they? I don't know. I don't really see New Orleans overlooking the Suns, at least definitely not in the first game. The Suns have been pretty decent. Poole was upgraded to questionable. Yeah, but, I mean, he doesn't affect the line, like, at all. But why would the line move more on Phoenix? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. New TV, hell yeah. What kind of TV is it? That is an awesome Christmas gift. Yeah, I do not agree with the Suns in that game. I think there's no way that you can play the Suns off of that ridiculous win over the Lakers. There's just no way. It's way too satisfying of a win. Detroit at Utah. Detroit went into that break on 3 wins in a row. Could bust up their momentum a little bit. You got to think, did they come back home? Like, is that what they do? They were out on the Pacific Coast. You got to think they came back home and now they're going back out on the road again. Maybe, yeah. I mean, they'll be, I guess, focused potentially to start a road trip, but I see it more as their momentum being stopped. And then after this, they play both LA teams, which you go to LA, you're going to be focused on the Lakers. So, I don't know. I could definitely see Detroit overlooking the Jazz here. Jazz coming into this kind of in the opposite way. Having lost 3 games in a row, going into the break, that could help end their losing momentum. So I could see them being in the better spot here for sure. They get this game at home. Pistons coming in. I think the Jazz will be focused here. I would lean to the Jazz. And again, the market read doesn't make any sense to me. It is saying no. Again, like how many of these games are there going to be? Like, you can't think that any of these percentages are accurate. Like, you seriously think that the Pelicans, the Jazz, who else did I mention? The Wizards and the Hornets. You seriously think all of these teams are public sides today? There's no fucking way, dude. No way. The Jazz, as of now, according to pregame here, 87% of the tickets on the Jazz and 86% of the cash, which would mean the Pistons are an anti-public road favorite. There's no way. There's no way that the public is playing the Jazz here. I'm sorry. Even with recency bias, I mean, the Pistons have been the team that's been winning recently, too. There's just no way. These numbers are not correct. I don't have anything else to say about it. I think if you play the game, you got to take the points with the Jazz. And that's all I have to say about it, really. Suns and Pelicans, I mean, tomorrow's handicap entirely should depend on what happens today because it becomes a zigzag spot. NBA, the Knicks and Kolek. I mean, Kolek has been around for a while. Like, when did he get drafted? It was probably like 2 years ago at this point. I mean, he's not new to the NBA. I guess he had a big game yesterday. You're going under in the Jazz game at 244.5. I don't really have any opinion on that at all. I mean, I don't disagree with unders in general in these games where teams have had a long layoff because the offense gets more affected by the layoff. So I think under in like the first half makes a lot of sense if you think teams are going to start slow because they haven't played for a while. So they got to get back in rhythm again. So like first quarter, first half under does make a lot of sense in these games in general today. The market looks like it's indicating on the over in that game. 75% of tickets and 95% of the cash on the over. It's up to 244.5 from 243. But again, I don't trust any of these numbers that I'm seeing as of right now. So, all of that with a grain of salt there. If I was going to play the under in that game, I probably would limit it to the first half, though, or first quarter. Yahoo's showing the opposite stats. I don't trust Yahoo's numbers at all either, though. I don't even know where the fuck they get their numbers. Like, what sports book are they tracking? Because this site here tracks, again, like, it does include DraftKings, but it's much more focused on, like, the Vegas casinos and the sharp, like, offline books all get included here. So this site gives me a better gauge of what the market is. But I also have my own, like, I have my own gauge on where the public is going to be, and usually I'm right about where the public is going to be. So, and especially games like this, I mean, it's just so obvious that these numbers are not accurate. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Clippers Blazers is the last game I have today in the best bets portion for the NBA. We're going to take the Portland Trailblazers +2, 2.5, whatever. Clippers have moved to a 2.5 point favorite here from a pick'em. 50% of tickets, 82% of the cash on them. Money is saying the Clippers right now. I do not agree with it, obviously. I still think the Clippers are ass. They're without Zubac right now. I don't know why the line has moved like this. Zubac, he's not their best player, but he's certainly younger than James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. So, like, I know Leonard's been playing well recently, but, like, come on, man. Those guys are old. Zubac is a key piece for the Clippers, man. I think without him, it's going to hurt them a bit. Clippers, yes, they've been playing a little bit better recently. They won 2 games in a row, but look at what they did, man. They blew out the Lakers, pretty much blew them out, and then they blew out Houston, both at home for the Clippers. So the Clippers able to get some home cooking again there. The Clippers maybe actually starting to play a little bit better at home right now, but you got to think this is a letdown spot for those wins. They go into the holiday break on a huge note like that with 2 monster wins against 2 of the better teams in the conference. Then they sit around for a while basking in that, whatever. It could disrupt their momentum. Then they have a single road game where they have to go to Portland, really. And then on Sunday, they're back home and they have to play the Pistons, which I think could be a big-time look ahead. I mean, I know they're not in the same conference, but we know how good Detroit's record is. I think that could set up a look ahead there. I think it's a weird spot. I think it's a sandwich spot. I don't like it at all for the Clippers. Portland is coming into this one off of 2 straight losses, staying at home. I think that might be a good thing to try to disrupt that momentum. They weren't bad in those losses. They had close losses to Detroit and Orlando. Normally, I might say, well, this team, they put in a big effort. Maybe they'll be in a little bit of a hangover after that. But in this case, I don't think so. They've had multiple days off. They can break that losing momentum. I don't know that you have to worry about the look ahead to Boston. I mean, it's the Drew Holiday Bowl or whatever, if you want to call it that, because he hasn't played against his former team, the Celtics, until potentially tomorrow. But I don't know if he's going to be back. I think he's still injured. So I don't know. I see Portland showing up in this game, though. The Clippers are also horrific on the road. They're 3-13 on the road. Blazers are a little bit more of a palatable 5-8 at home. Clippers at home, I should say, yeah. The Clippers, by the way, also I mentioned Zubac. He's like their best young player. He got hurt in the game against the Lakers. He did not play against Houston, so that was kind of an injured player spot there against Houston, where first game with him out, they really stepped up their game for it. And when that happens, I think they also take a little bit of a step back in the next game without him. I looked. He's not going to be back. Portland is still without Grant and without Holiday, though, like I said, until probably the next game. So you do have to worry about that a little bit. I mean, those are 2 of their better players, but I'm still going to roll with it with Portland in this one. The fact that they're rested at least helps with their shorthandedness a little bit here. Again, disagreeing with the market. Portland is the play in that one, grabbing whatever points you can get there. BetMGM. So Yahoo's only showing BetMGM. Yeah, I would not trust that at all. BetMGM is all going to be, it's going to be way too skewed towards basically just all public. Like, you don't get a good indicator of where the actual professional bettors are. BetMGM is also a slow book. Like, they lag behind. So yeah, I don't like that at all. I would certainly, I don't like looking at money just from one book. I actually hate that, because it's like, it's that dude, what's his name? Like John Ewing or whatever, the dude on, he's one of the MGM guys or whatever on Twitter, and he gives out all the numbers that are just MGM, and I'm like, this guy's full of shit. Like, his gauge on the public is just completely inaccurate. Like, you talk to these guys that work one single sports book, and they're telling you, like, you listen to these guys and they're telling you, like, where the money is. And yeah, that's information that's valuable, but they don't know how to interpret that information correctly. You need like an amalgam of all these books here, which is why I like this site better than any other way that I've looked at it. So yeah, I don't like that at all. And Action Network is way skewed towards like DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, and that doesn't give you a good gauge on it either, really. So I don't like that. Garrett, I don't even know what the hell score bet is. I mean, my favorite ones were sites that I'm not allowed to mention on YouTube that are sites that are, let's say, not in the United States. Out of the legal ones, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think DraftKings is probably the easiest to use out of the legal ones. You don't get the best numbers. MGM and Caesars lag behind a lot in the numbers, so those give you better numbers a lot. So I have to kind of like that about those books. Their shittiness, their like slow response time, it makes them better for us. Zubak is a Pokemon, yeah. Matrosexual, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Clippers have the better field goal percentage, but Portland scores more points. Yeah, some Clippers, they play really slow. Portland plays a faster style. I don't really pay attention to tempo that much in the NBA, though. Portland is the better rebounding team. Yeah, and Zubak being out is not going to help the Clippers on the glass either, because he is their starting center. So, all right. And then we have college football bowls. I am going to give out a play on one, which was one that I liked from the beginning. We are getting a little bit worse of a number on it, but I still think it's worth it. First, we got to talk about the game at 1 p.m. This is an ESPN triple header. These are Eastern time where I am, the Eastern time zone. 1 p.m., we have the Game Above Sports Bowl. I have no idea what Game Above Sports even is. I don't know if it's a... what the hell is Game Above Sports? Is it a sports news network? Is it a gambling site? I don't fucking know. But that's the new sponsor for the Ford Field Bowl, which used to be, what the hell was it? It's been a bunch of different names. It was like the Motor City Bowl. It had a bunch of different sponsors. I don't know. I forget what the most recent other sponsor was for this bowl, but Eastern, yeah, I kind of prefer it just because the games don't start like at 9 a.m. Circa gets the most sports action. Circa is considered to be they cater better to the professionals. Let's just put it that way. Saab might have retired. Yeah, I don't know. He might be celebrating Christmas. I have no idea. We haven't seen him for a while. Shout out to Saab. Circa, the way that I would use Circa is like similar to like some of these sites that I can't mention by name. Well, I don't know. Can we mention them by name if I'm not saying that you should use them? I don't know. I don't know if we're allowed to, but you'll know what sites I'm talking about that are like the sites that are considered to be really catering towards sharps. Circa is one of them. Like if you see their numbers slightly adjusted in one direction, that's kind of an indicator of where like the sharps are leaning. So you can kind of use that as a lean. Game Above Sports Bowl is Central Michigan and Northwestern. Now, for these games, you got to pay attention to the opt-outs here, of course. It looks like the only opt-outs that we see here are actually on the Central Michigan side that are listed here, although I think that's inaccurate. I actually think there are a couple of opt-outs on both sides here. Central Michigan has 2 listed here, but, I mean, for the most part, I think you're going to see both teams, I think, being mostly intact here. Now, I think you could question Northwestern's motivation, though, but I also think the line dropped because I think there are actually some opt-outs from Northwestern here that this shitty site here covers. They're not tracking it, so I think that there are some opt-outs that move this line a little bit. Northwestern was a 12.5-point favorite. Now they're 10.5. 58% of the tickets on them, 55% of the cash on Central Michigan. I do agree with that market read. If you're going to play this game, I would take the points with Central Michigan for a number of reasons. One reason being that the total is low, down to 43 from 44.5, which part of that I think is because of maybe some opt-outs from Northwestern, but we also see 68% of the cash on the over, 68% of tickets, 54% of the cash on the under. The money is coming in towards the under. I don't disagree with the under in this game either. And if you think it's going to be a low-scoring game, of course, it's going to be way more difficult for Northwestern to cover a number like this. We're looking at 2 bad offenses here. Northwestern, I know they're a Big Ten team, but they're better on defense. Their offense is pretty bad. Central Michigan, not a very good offense either. They mostly rely on their defense. Central Michigan also runs the football and like inordinate amount of times, even though they've actually been decent passing the football when they do throw the football. But they're mostly a rushing attack, and that's what they do. So they slow the game down, and that's kind of what you want for an underdog. So I would agree with taking the points with Central Michigan as well. If you can get anything like 11, 10.5, anything better than that, I think taking the points makes sense here. Not even only just for, those X's and O's reasons. By the way, Central Michigan, they actually play 2 quarterbacks, but it's not one of those situations where it's like they don't know who their quarterback is. It's because they're more they play like a service academy almost, where they have a throwing quarterback and a rushing quarterback, and one of the quarterbacks has been injured for a while, and he's coming back. I think the throwing quarterback, has been injured for multiple weeks now, and he's supposed to be back in this game. Flores, I think is his name. So Central Michigan will be more of a dual threat offense again with him back in the mix here, assuming that he is playing. So that will be good for Central Michigan. I don't think that's like a reverse injured player spot or anything like that, because he's a guy that only plays like probably about, I would say, 17% of their snaps. But when he does go out there, it gives them that added dimension where they can actually throw the football a little bit. So Northwestern's going to have to prepare for multiple different styles from Central Michigan. That's kind of how Central Michigan was able to do the damage that they did this year. They're not a very good team. Again, they mostly focus on running the football, and I think they do incorporate some triple option stuff as well with their primary quarterback there, more like a service academy. But again, it's hard to prepare for that when you don't see that all the time. Even though, yes, Northwestern does have a good defense, but all that being thrown into the mix, again, I think you're going to see a low-scoring, ugly game here. So again, I do agree, under and Central Michigan plus the points in this one. And the other thing is, I think Central Michigan will be motivated because they don't make that many bowls. They don't have a good bowl history as a program. The last time they were in a bowl, I think, was back in 2021. They won it in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against Washington State. But I don't believe that they've won a bowl since then. And I think maybe they haven't even been in a bowl since then. So I think it will be a big deal for Central Michigan to be in a bowl like this, playing against one of the big boys, against a Big Ten team. So I think they will be motivated for this. So definitely reasons that Central Michigan should show up here. For Northwestern, do you really get excited for playing a MAC team here? I don't know, because Northwestern, they actually weren't in a bowl. I believe they were not in a bowl last year either, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Either that or they lost. Let me see. Northwestern only sitting at 6-6 this year, by the way. But yeah, they missed out on the bowl season last year. So they've had a little bit of turmoil. They won the Vegas Bowl the year before that. So, they missed last year's bowl season. Maybe they'll be excited to be here, but they didn't look very excited after they became bowl eligible. They lost to Illinois. Although I guess, they only lost by 7. I don't know. It was an ugly, low-scoring game, though. But that was a big rivalry game for them, so I don't know. You could see that kind of either way. Did Northwestern really get up for that game? I don't know. Will they really get up for this game, though? Playing against a MAC team? I don't know. I don't really see Northwestern being that excited about it. The location probably does favor Central Michigan a little bit because it's in Detroit, although Chicago is not that far away either, which is basically where Northwestern is. So both teams probably going to have their fan bases show up, but Central Michigan's might be a little bit more excited for it. So I would say Central Michigan, again, is the lean in that game. How do you become an odds maker at a casino? I have not really looked into that. I don't want to do that, though. I don't want to be on the other side of the counter. I do not want to be one of those guys. I just can't do it. Because then you're not allowed to bet anymore. So, no, I'm not going to do that. Next up is going to be my best bet in the bowls. Let's do it. It's going to be in this, whatever the hell this bowl is, in Phoenix. I forget what is the Rate Bowl, yeah. We're going to go with New Mexico. I know we've lost a little bit of value on this. It did come out at 3, but there have been some opt-outs on the Minnesota side that have dropped this thing to 1.5. I still think you're getting New Mexico as a small dog. I still think it's the right look here. If you're playing them either way, you're basically kind of saying they're going to win the game. We're going to do this. New Mexico has 51% of the tickets and 58% of the cash on them. I'm going to agree with this. This pretty much all just has to do with who's the motivated team going to be in this game, and the location, I think, helps New Mexico as well. But yes, we've had opt-outs on the Minnesota side. But again, when you have opt-outs like this, yes, it does affect the line. But I don't think the line is really completely overreacted to it. Like, you got to gauge, like, well, these opt-outs mean that the team might not be showing up in this game. And I think that's what you're getting out of Minnesota in this game, even though the one thing that Minnesota is going for them is they've actually won like 7 or 8 bowls in a row. Like, I know I talked about Ohio had that streak of like 6, 7 bowl wins in a row. I think Ohio has done that without missing a bowl season, I think, because Minnesota has won 8 bowls in a row, but they've missed out on the bowl season a couple of the years in the middle there. But yes, Minnesota does actually tend to show up and play well in their bowl games. But in this game, I just don't see it, man. I just don't see how they're gonna be that excited to play New Mexico. Now, this used to be the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, by the way. I like to make fun of the names here. Now it's just the Rate Bowl. I don't know if Guaranteed Rate changed their name to just Rate. I don't even know who they are, but very weird name for a bowl. But it's in Phoenix at Chase Field where the Diamondbacks play, I guess. So I think the location favors New Mexico because they're closer. So I think their crowd will show up for this. They're used to playing in this area of the country. Minnesota really isn't. Maybe Minnesota gets a little bit distracted by being in Phoenix. So I don't even know what there is to do in Phoenix. For New Mexico, I think they're going to be excited, though, man. New Mexico finished the season real strong, winning a bunch of games in a row, 6 games in a row down the stretch. You might say, well, you know, having all this time off is going to disrupt their momentum. And while I do tend to look at things that way, sometimes bowls are a little bit different, man. And sometimes it is good to be on a team that finished strong because that tells you that they are probably going to be excited to be here. Now, New Mexico almost got into the Mountain West Championship, and the only reason they didn't was because they do some computer bullshit to figure out who makes the championship. And, of course, it was Boise and UNLV. And while I don't really disagree that Boise and UNLV are both better than San Diego State and New Mexico, I don't think New Mexico is going to be that disappointed by that because they didn't have high expectations at all coming into this year. New Mexico was in kind of a rebuilding season, and they had a really good season, 9-3. I know they faced a weak schedule, but they did face Michigan, and they played pretty well at Michigan earlier in the season. They crushed UCLA. I know UCLA wasn't that good, but still a Big Ten team on the road. Not a bad game for them at all there. And then, yeah, I know they played the Mountain West, not a great conference, but they did play Boise. They did play Utah State. They did play UNLV, and they beat Utah State and UNLV and San Diego State, and those were some of the better teams. So they played like all the better teams in the conference pretty much. So, yes, obviously they're not as battle-tested as Minnesota, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. I think they'll be excited because New Mexico, again, there wasn't much expected out of them this year. And they haven't made a bowl for a long, long time. The last time they were in a bowl, I believe, was like almost 10 years ago. Yeah, well, the last time they won a bowl was the New Mexico Bowl. So in the same area, they were in their home state. So they actually won a bowl in their own state in New Mexico. So a lot of times teams won't be excited if they're kind of not going to like a location. But I think for New Mexico, because they're just not in bowls very often, they got excited for that. And I think that might have been the last time they were even in a bowl. So they haven't been in a bowl for almost a decade. So I think, how could they not be excited about this? You know what I mean? Having not been to a bowl for that long. So I like that aspect of this. And again, for Minnesota, I just don't know what you're going to get out of Minnesota. Yeah, they played well in their final game against Wisconsin. Wisconsin had a bad season. Minnesota, I mean, how do you get excited about going to Phoenix and playing against New Mexico? I mean, really? I mean, I just don't really see it, man. I know Minnesota does tend to step it up for these games. They're pretty well coached, but we're in a new era now, man. We're in the era of the transfer portal now, and Minnesota has some guys transferring, so I don't like that. Yes, again, they did face a more difficult schedule. They did play Ohio State, Nebraska, got a decent win there. They got blown out by Iowa, by Oregon, and by Ohio State, so, whatever. The out-of-conference schedule is actually really weak. And for Minnesota, yeah, we're looking at the opt-outs here. They do have opt-outs. Actually, this doesn't even tell the whole tale of it. Their number 2 running back is gone. He's hitting the transfer portal. Their top 3 wide receivers, I believe, are all hitting the transfer portal. So they're going to be decimated at wide receiver. So they're not going to really be able to throw the ball very much in this game, I wouldn't imagine. So Minnesota's offense is definitely taking a hit with the transfer situation here. So that's not good for them. Whereas New Mexico, they do not have many opt-outs in this game, man. They're going to show up and play in this bowl game because it's been so long. I think their fans will show up. They don't have to travel that far to get to Phoenix. Minnesota, like, are their fans really going to be that excited to travel all the way down? I mean, I guess because it's warm weather, maybe it's a reason to get out of Minnesota, but still, I just don't really see them being excited about this bowl draw, man. So we're going to take New Mexico in this one. I think New Mexico is going to be excited. They're one of the teams with the longest bowl drought out of all the teams in the bowl season here. So that is a motivator, man. For a program that has that long of a drought, even though the bowls don't mean as much now, they still mean something to these smaller programs. So we are going to go with New Mexico in that game, getting them at the small dog price. And the public, even though New Mexico has the better record, they're still going to have a tendency to be slightly, I think, leaning towards Minnesota, just because everybody knows they're the better team. They're in the better conference. So, that's just the way that it is. And then the final bowl, we have the ServPro First Responder Bowl, which I assume ServPro has something to do with like EMTs or something. The first responders. This game is in Dallas, Texas. It is Florida International and UTSA. This is at 8 p.m. That game I just talked about was at 4:30. All of these games on ESPN. The bowls get the they get all the attention today, even though these bowls might not necessarily be good. Now, Florida International, my first read on this was they're going to be super excited to be in a bowl because this is a program that has not been to a bowl for quite a while, I think. They were in the Camellia Bowl in 2019, and they lost. Let me see. When was the last bowl that they actually won? I'm trying to see. I went through this earlier today, but I already forget. I should have just written it down, taken notes. But that was the last time they were in a bowl, was that one that I just mentioned in 2018 was the last one they won in the Bahamas Bowl. So they haven't won a bowl since 2018. They haven't been in a bowl since 2019. So my initial read was you got to think Florida International is going to be excited to be back in a bowl, right? And for UTSA, they're in bowls like every year recently, so I don't know how excited they're really going to be. But there are some issues here with wanting to take FIU, even though I probably still lean that way slightly. UTSA, I think they were a little bit underrated this season. They finished 6-6, but I think they're a little bit of a better team than that, although they are much better at home. But they are getting to play in Texas. But then that could go both ways. Like, does that mean, well, their crowd's going to show up? They're going to be excited about it. They are still going to a location because UTSA is in San Antonio, and they're going up to Dallas. So maybe they still consider it to be like a reward, a destination bowl, whatever. But UTSA, they're also going to handle all this time off better because UTSA runs the football. They're really, really good rushing attack, and those usually tend to work out pretty well in bowl games. So also something to look at with Central Michigan, obviously. But, yeah, that makes me hesitate a little bit with fading UTSA here. But UTSA, they've been in bowls like many, many years in a row at this point. I think they seem to be in bowls every year almost now. So I think they will be less excited about this than FIU will be, even though, yeah, UTSA might have a benefit of maybe having a little bit of a home-ish crowd there. It's still not really that close to San Antonio, though. But my problem with it is the opt-out situation. There are opt-outs on both teams, including one of the best names out there, Mr. Clark, cornerback for FIU, is hitting the transfer portal. Now, this surprised me. So we have opt-outs on both sides. Both teams have a bunch of guys in the transfer portal. This is not even the full extent of it. Both teams are losing a significant amount of their defense to the transfer portal, which surprised me because I thought FIU, their guys would show up and play in this game, but that's just not the case. So both defenses are losing a lot of guys to the opt-outs. The offenses are actually mostly intact for this game, including whichever McCown son is on UTSA as their quarterback there. But mostly it's the defenses that are being affected here. So you probably kind of know what I'm going to say about this game in a second here. The total is very high. Let's just say that. So I do worry because I expected FIU to have fewer opt-outs and actually show up in this game. But now it's looking like the defenses are not going to be showing up in this game, which does mean I think this is going to be a track meet of a game. It's going to be probably in good weather in Dallas, I would imagine. Now, the line did tank on Texas San Antonio, though, down from 9.5 to 5. So there was a huge line move against them and towards Florida International. And it looks like there is a little bit of take back on the UTSA side. 52% of tickets on FIU, 54% of the cash coming in on UTSA. But, I mean, I don't think the public is going to really have that much of a feel for this game. FIU getting points is the team with the better record. Maybe they'll be looking that way. But UTSA has had, they've been around in the bowls recently, so I don't know if the public knows that or not. I don't know, but my read on the side is still FIU. I think they are still going to be the more motivated team here, just because the program hasn't been to a bowl in so long. So I would still lean to taking the points here, although you're getting fewer of them. Like, I think that initial line move was, like, I agree with the way that it moved. Let's just say that. But now I'm worried about all the opt-outs on both sides, although UTSA's opt-outs were more significant, obviously, which is why the line dropped like that. Now, if I was going to play this game, I would probably play the over, though. 85% of tickets and 90% of the cash on the over. It's up to 60, but, totals are high for a reason. I know UTSA likes to run the football, but they can still throw the ball a little bit as well. And against a weak defense, the rushing attack can really, really put up some huge chunks in college football. So rushing attacks can actually still put a lot of points on the board, especially if they're going to be winning the game as a favorite. They're going to be running the football. They can still put more points on the board. I think over makes a lot of sense, and mostly, again, because these defenses are just decimated by all the transfers going on here. So over makes sense. I don't think the line is really even adjusted even enough for what's going on with those defenses. So that's the way I look at that game. And I think that's it, man. I would slightly still lean towards taking the points with FIU as well. But, and then again, I lean towards taking the points with Central Michigan and the under in the Sports Bowl. But my play is actually on New Mexico in the other one. I don't really have a read on the total in that game. And that's going to do it, man. I finished the Chappelle special. The ending was really good. There were definitely it was funny. Not his best special, not his worst. There were some points where obviously he's just wrong about, like, some of his gauge on politics. He's just way off. I think he's somewhat too entrenched in the political sphere. Although, I appreciate that he's not really, he's not, like, fully entrenched on one side or the other. And he does, he does have a tendency to bash, some of the, bash some of those power sources, especially with the way that he ended it was quite good. I will say that. I thought it was okay in general. That's going to do it, man. Once again, my plays today, we got 2 NBA plays. We're on the Hornets plus the points, Blazers plus the points, fading the market, reading both for now at least. And then we're going to be on the Rate Bowl. We're going to be on New Mexico and hope they get the job done for us to get the outright win. Fading that streak that Minnesota has going on. But again, the transfer portal situation has only been a thing for like 2 years now. So it's a different animal to try to handicap. And I'm being really selective with these bowls. And this was one of the ones that jumped out at me right away with at least one of the teams I would think being really, really excited to actually be here. That's New Mexico. So that's what we're going to go with, New Mexico. And that's going to do it. Thank you, Charles. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. The AIDS thing. Yeah, Chappelle, he started getting into that, that AIDS thing. He went in the opposite direction with it, really, though. Like, he basically wound up, like, his punch line basically wound up saying that doctor was still a quack, but I'm really not so sure. I think that doctor might have been on the verge of uncovering something that the people in power don't want you to know about AIDS, which I think is more that it was the drugs that were actually killing people and not the AIDS itself, and that Fauci was pretty much behind all of it. And I think maybe that holistic doctor was uncovering something that the people in power didn't want to get out there. I don't want to get this channel nuked, but I think his death was pretty questionable. So, Patrice O'Neal, what's up, man? Who's lying? What? I don't know what you're talking about, man. Patrice O'Neal, one of the best comedians of all time, though. Well, I don't know if I could say that on my channel, but that's going to do it. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Got subscriptions over there now. Thank you, Jeffrey. Got Learn to Toad on Instagram as well. I got to put these things out on Instagram shortly. What else we got? We got, obviously like, subscribe, give me comments on the channel here. We got to boost this thing, man. We're not even at 500 yet. We should be over 1,000 by now. We got to get this thing going. People don't like my raging autism. I have no idea. I want to get this channel built up more, get it monetized. That would be the goal here. Let's get this stuff done. Yes, thank you, sir. Pinsy, Jeffrey, everybody here, Garrett, Charles, Patrice O'Neal's fat, obese ghost, whatever, matrosexual. I don't know if I'm getting everybody, but all you guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Did I hit everybody? I think I did. If I forgot anybody, I apologize. But thank you guys. Saab, I hope you're all right. We got Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out as well. This show is on audio, so give me a good review over there as well, and listen on Apple and Spotify. The Loser Cast, my comedy panel podcast, is still out there. You can go vote for the Call of Duty guy in the latest poll to get my second straight loser winner, because I won with Rob Reiner the previous week, so hell yeah. But go check that out. It's a fun time. We had Vito from, I apologize, I forget the name of his show. He's a funny dude. I liked having him on this week. It was a fun show. So there is that. And then the Giants podcast, G-Spot, I don't know what's going on with it, man. I got to talk to Ben again, see what's going on with that. And I think that is it. Oh, patreon.com/LearnToToad. You get bonus stuff. Charles, I did do your Christmas request. That's been up for a couple of days on Twitter. I released it on Christmas Eve on Twitter and YouTube. YouTube, I got to get the other ones I did on late Christmas Eve. I think I put up 2 more, so I got to get that done on YouTube and whatever. They're up on Twitter. Yes, sir. So that's going to do it. Hell yeah. So patreon.com, you get some bonus stuff there as well. Bonus Spotify, Uke feed, and requests. And yes, I am wearing my non-alcoholic Athletic Brewing camo hoodie today, man. I gotta say, I don't know, maybe it's not quite soft enough, the hoodie, but I definitely like their product, man. As a sober man who still likes the craft that goes into it, this is a way that you can enjoy, you can do both at once. Why not? Sometimes you can do things in life, so that's gonna do it. I'll be back tomorrow. There's not going to be a show tonight because there's literally one Division I NBA or college basketball game, tomorrow. So I'll talk about it tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is a huge bowl day, though. Like, it's the biggest bowl day of the year. There's just a shit ton of bowls on tomorrow. And then we got the build up to the playoffs being on, New Year's and whatever. So, and I'm going to have at least one play, I think, in the playoffs. And I will have at least a couple more bowl plays probably as well. So in the non-playoff games. So we'll look forward to that as well. That's going to do it for now. NFL show will still be tomorrow night as well. So you can check that out. So tomorrow morning is going to be a big show, actually, because I think there is a huge NHL slate tomorrow. The NHL comes back into play. So, oh boy, it's going to be one of those Saturday mornings, man. But at least college basketball is a very, very light slate tomorrow. That's going to do it. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And again, yeah, NFL is just a real, I hate the board. I really, really hate it this week, man. So we'll see what we can do. My goal is to give out winners, though, in the NFL and to win my, make sure that I stay in the money in my money contests that I'm in and improve my standings still there. So 1-0 to start this week with the Chiefs plus the points. So hopefully we can continue with that. That's going to do it. Peace for now, guys.